Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, your moderator, and this program is a little weekly chat that we have, and the focus is to always be living in the now, and then also to receive everything that life has sends our way, to receive it as a lesson. And so we're continuing on with goal setting. And here's some additional strategies, 10 strategies for setting and achieving a goal, whether it is a one-time event or whether it's going to go on something that will be ongoing for years to come. Because rather than hoping that things just work out because I have these ideas in my head, it is really important that we begin to look at some objectives and begin to bind them so that we can deliberately plan rather than just kind of hit or miss and hope everything's working. So I am a life coach, and I would encourage you to use the chat box for comments or questions, and maybe even share what about any of our talks are helpful and what you gain from our time together. And be sure to include your email so that I can get back with you and we can converse more. If you ever watch live, then we can talk after the recording. Otherwise, we could talk by emails. So, strategies for goal setting. One is always do it for you. One of the axioms, the life coaching that I do, is through reality therapy, choice theory, and lead management. And one of the axioms is that the only person you can control is you. And that is very true. So the only person we can control is us. And in setting goals, it has to be something that is important to you. Although others are alongside and can encourage and can be a part of, it must be from you. It must be something from deep within your heart. And also you want to include your goal setting into include all of your life, everything. And again, back to, we are multifaceted individuals. And of course, what we do in our entire life will incorporate friends and family and social and spiritual and financial. And so it's looking at the attitudes and the values as well as just the goal itself. And so I have here, if you will go to the Glasser website, I'm sure you'll be able to find something about Pete's Pathogram. Arvin Peterson has written a book, and it looks at the 5 basic needs and also how intense we begin to self-evaluate. We continually want to self-evaluate. Is what I'm doing, is it bringing success? Is it keeping me stuck in a rut? Is what I'm doing, is it drawing me closer to others, or is it pushing me further apart? But also in Pete's Pathogram, and looking at the 5 basic needs, he helps you to evaluate the intensity of energy that you give into that something, or the energy that you devote to something. And then also, one of the things that I just love about the Pathogram is it helps you to evaluate, how satisfied am I with this? And it can really help you to see things about yourself that you would not have seen without a more thorough investigation. So another point is always to consider the talents that you have and the amount of obligations you have agreed to that will therefore have a lot to do with the timing. We all have gifts and attitudes and abilities, but those things that that come naturally with us, we may not see it as being a really big goal in our life. But begin to be okay with those things that come naturally with you. And then those things that are a little bit more difficult, use those as something that will build strength. So even though the talent is innate, setting goals can help to develop additional education and additional training for that particular natural gifting. Writing your goals down is essential, and it can be very extensive. It can, write a book about it, draw a blueprint about it, give substance to the endeavor that you're trying to create, make it a clear vision. It generates internal excitement. It begins to make the goal more concrete. So you want to write it down, maybe look for pictures and make a vision board. Also, continually to speak it into existence. But as you're speaking it into existence, use present tense verbiage. Instead of saying, I'm going to something, that is too nebulous, speak about it as if I am. It helps to not only create expectancy to you, but it also helps to speak it into existence that other people will realize that's what you're doing, what you're thinking about, what you're accomplishing. And it may be something as simple as I am building a house. And I am looking at lots. But always have it in a present tense that you are looking at what you are doing. And it builds up that expectancy and it generates the energy to carry through. Also, in goals, we need to set some deadlines. I am building a new house, and the goal line, the deadline for it to be built and for things to happen is, and of course, figure things out on whether it is days, weeks, months, hours, or a couple of years, because you want to have all different type of goals. They're not all defined for one day and accomplished in one day. So having a target completion date harnesses your energy for that particular task. Some people believe that, to wait until the last minute so that you can work under pressure. And maybe that pressure will go ahead and accomplish it so that it's somewhat done on time. But is it really done with the excellence if it's done under pressure? So as we can begin to stretch things out, but keep to it, and set our deadlines and have a single-mindedness that brings the goal into a reality. And using a challenge and a deadline is often something that's needed to help us do that. Because whenever we begin to meet those deadlines and see those challenges, there's just nothing that we can't do. We also want to look at the fact that goals are a roadmap for the long haul. Everyone has high energy days whenever you just feel like you can conquer the whole world. And we also have those low energy days whenever we just kind of plod through. So if we have a roadmap for the long haul, then on those not so up days, you already have the pattern to follow. And you can go ahead and do it. It may seem like, well, it's not a lot of energy to it, but it's that follow through on those ordinary days that really begins to give you the energy to do more than plod on the extraordinary days. We also want to begin to see whatever it is that we are working toward as a reality. We think in pictures. Not only do we speak our goals into existence, but we want to continually speak it into existence in present tense language, but we also want to continually visualize how that our goals are growing, how they are manifesting, how they are coming into being, how we are manifesting them in our current day-to-day living. Also realizing that failure is not necessarily fatal. There may be those rare times when it is, but most of us set goals that we think we can accomplish. But all trials, triumphs, and tragedies sometimes are brought into play to help us see that we really can do more than we give ourselves credit for. So when we determine what strategies need to be repeated again and again and again so that they become habit, and which ones need to be adjusted, and which ones needs to be followed through with. And then always remember that just because something is delayed does not necessarily mean that fate is denying us the outcome of that. And in setting goals, we want to keep it simple. We want to keep it simple, something that we can explain to someone in just a few words. And then also back to where on the number that we talked about, writing your goals out and even writing a book about it if necessary. But now, as you begin to work with it, condense it down to like a 3x5 card, an index card, where you can look on there to see what the short-term goals and the long-term goals are and how that you are working toward them, and that you can live your life in a constant. Life seems to have all these constant changes that come in, but if we have it down and we look at it, then we know what our ultimate goals are for. So here is Dr. Spencer Johnson wrote a wonderful book called The 1 Minute Teacher, and it's really about teaching us about how to have goals and how to evaluate them. And so here is a little diagram from his book, The 1 Minute Teacher. And so here is our goals. We've thought them out. Now, what happens, we're going through life. Look, my little cursor here, if you'll watch it, it's helping us to continually evaluate. So does our behavior, our thoughts, our actions, our intentions, does our behavior match our goals? Well, if it does, then we win. Yay, we've got this. And we give ourselves a 1 minute praising, to pat on the back. You're doing good. You're right on track. And then what we do is we continue and we come back up here and we continue on with our goals. But maybe it's one of those low energy days, or maybe it's one of those days when what we are doing with our behavior, with our thoughts, with our attitudes, with our intentions, it is not matching what our goal is. Well, then it's a time for us to realize, yeah, I can learn, but right now, I can win, but right now I'm learning. And so what we want to do is use his definition of the 1 minute recovery. And in that 1 minute recovery, there's a first half and a second half. In that 1 minute recovery, you sit down and you take a good deep breath and you ask yourself, let me see where I have gotten off course. And then let me evaluate with myself, am I being specific with me? Am I being true to me? Am I being honest with me? And then look at the fact that this misstep is a fumble. And you know what? If we fumble the ball, we can, whether it's the basketball or the football or whatever ball it is, we may have a little bit of bumbling around to pick it up and to dust it off and to get it again. And so then the second half of our 1 minute recovery is to remind ourselves again that even though I may have made a mistake, I am not a mistake. And that even though, and to redeem your behavior, redirect your behavior so that you can feel good about yourself. I made a mistake. There was an error there, but you know what? I recover. And so then you come back over here and you return to the start and you go up here and you try it again and again and again, because it is through spaced repetition that we begin to truly learn things. So here's the challenge. Talk to yourself and listen to yourself. Maybe you're afraid of something. Fear is an emotion to be curious about. Ask yourself questions, converse with, and ultimately befriend yourself. What am I afraid of? Is it relevant? In 5 years from now, will it really matter? And is it worth holding on to? And then another challenge is to be persistent, to never give up, never give up, never give up. The best laid plans of mice and men have hiccups. So keep on hiccuping and keep on keeping on. So thank you for being here, and great goal setting. Remember the challenge of talking to and listening to yourself and being persistent. And many blessings, and go in peace.